Some people don't just disappear. They're erased, as if they never walked that street, never made that turn, never said goodbye. Keys left on countertops, cars abandoned with engines still warm, last seen in broad daylight on familiar roads doing ordinary things. And then, nothing. No screams, no witnesses, no trail to follow. What you're about to hear are 10 cases where someone was there one moment, living, breathing, making plans, and gone the next. Decades have passed. Families still wait by phones that never ring. Investigators still comb through evidence that leads nowhere. And the questions never stop. No answers, no closure, just silence. Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. These cases span across America, and someone out there might remember something, might know something that could finally bring answers. Baltimore, Maryland, November 7th, 1969. Sister Catherine Cesnik, everyone called her Sister Cathy, was 26 years old, a nun, a teacher at Archbishop Keough High School. The students adored her. She wasn't like the other teachers. She was warm, patient. She listened when they talked. She cared about their lives, their problems, their futures. To them, she wasn't just a teacher. She was someone they could trust. That Thursday evening, Sister Cathy had errands to run. Simple things: stop by the bank, pick up a few items, nothing out of the ordinary. She left her apartment, climbed into her car, and headed out into the November evening. She never came home. The next morning, her roommate reported her missing. Police found her car later that day, parked near her apartment building on North Bend Road. The driver's side door was unlocked, the keys gone. Leaves had scattered inside the car, covering the seats. But there was no blood, no torn fabric, no shattered glass, nothing to suggest what had happened, nothing to explain where she'd gone. For 2 months, the search continued. Police followed every lead. Families held vigils. Her students prayed for her safe return. But the days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. And still, nothing. Then, on January 3rd, 1970, 2 men were hunting in a wooded area near Lansdowne, Maryland. They found her. Sister Cathy's body lay among the trees. She had been there the entire time. The medical examiner's report was clear: blunt force trauma to the skull. Someone had struck her with enough force to kill her, and then left her body in those woods. But why? Who would want to hurt a nun, a teacher, someone who spent her life helping children? The investigation stalled. Months passed, then years. Police had theories, but no solid evidence. No witnesses came forward. No suspects emerged. The case went cold. Then, more than 2 decades later, in the 1990s, something changed. Former students from Archbishop Keough High School began coming forward. They were adults now, mothers, professionals, women who had carried secrets for years, and they started telling their stories. Stories about Father Joseph Maskell, the school chaplain, a man they were supposed to trust. Sexual abuse, repeated, calculated, hidden behind the walls of a Catholic institution. And they said something else. They said Sister Cathy knew, that she had found out what was happening to her students, that she had confronted someone about it, that she was planning to take action, to report what she'd learned. One woman, one of Maskell's survivors, made a claim that still echoes through this case today. She said Father Maskell drove her to a remote location. He brought her to see a body, Sister Cathy's body, before it was officially discovered. Before the hunters found her, he showed her to keep her quiet, to make her understand what happens when people speak up. Could it be true? Was Sister Cathy killed because she knew too much? Because she was willing to protect her students at any cost? In 2017, nearly 50 years after her death, investigators made a decision. They exhumed Father Maskell's body. He had died in 2001, never charged with her murder. They ran DNA tests. analyzed evidence collected from the crime scene decades earlier. The results came back. No match. Whatever evidence they had, it didn't connect to Maskell. So the question remains, who killed Sister Catherine Cesnik? Was it someone trying to protect the church? Protect a predator? Protect a system that valued reputation over truth? Her students, now in their 60s and 70s, still carry the weight of that November night. They still ask the same questions. Who silenced her? And was she killed for trying to save them? Between 1971 and 1973, Rochester, New York became a city gripped by fear. 3 young girls, 3 separate cases, but all connected by something impossible to ignore, a pattern. Carmen Colon was 10 years old. November 16, 1971. She was running a simple errand for her mother, just to a nearby store, a task she'd done before. She never made it home. Days later, her body was found off a rural road near the town of Churchville. She had been sexually assaulted, strangled, left in a ditch. The community was devastated. Police launched a massive investigation. But as the weeks went by with no arrests, parents began to fear the worst, that whoever did this might do it again. And they were right. April 2nd, 1973. 11-year-old Wanda Walkowitz was walking home from running an errand at a local store. It was late afternoon, broad daylight, a busy neighborhood. She disappeared. The next day, her body was discovered in Webster, another small town outside Rochester. The same method, sexual assault, strangulation, abandoned in a remote area. Parents across Rochester kept their children indoors. Schools sent warnings. The police formed task forces, but it wasn't enough. November 26, 1973, Michelle Mayanza, also 11 years old, was walking home from school. Her route was familiar, just a few blocks. She'd walked it hundreds of times. She vanished. 2 days later, her body was found near Macedon, sexually assaulted, strangled. The same horrifying pattern. And then investigators noticed something that turned this case from tragedy into nightmare. The names: Carmen Colon, found in Churchville; Wanda Walkowitz, found in Webster; Michelle Mayanza, found in Macedon. Each girl's first and last initials matched the name of the town where her body was discovered. CC in Churchville, WW in Webster, MM in Macedon. It couldn't be coincidence. Not 3 times, not with this level of precision. Someone was choosing these girls deliberately, planning where to leave them, creating a signature. The press called them the alphabet murders, the double initial killings. The FBI joined the investigation. Detectives interviewed thousands of people, followed hundreds of leads. Years passed. Suspects emerged. Kenneth Bianchi, who would later become infamous as one of the Hillside Stranglers, lived in Rochester during this time. He was questioned, investigated, but nothing connected him to the murders. Joseph Nasso, a photographer from California, who was eventually convicted of killing women with matching initials, also became a person of interest decades later. But again, no physical evidence, no timeline that fit, no DNA match. Forensic technology advanced. Task forces were reformed. Cold case units reopened the files. DNA was tested, retested, compared against databases. Still nothing. No arrests, no charges, no closure. To this day, no one knows who killed Carmen, Wanda, and Michelle. The precision haunts investigators. The symmetry, the ritual of it all. 3 girls, 3 towns, 3 sets of matching initials. Someone planned this, executed it, and walked away. And somewhere out there, the answer to why still exists, waiting to be found. Springfield Township, New Jersey. August 7, 1972. 16-year-old Jeannette DePalma left her home that afternoon. She told her family she was going to visit a friend. It was a normal summer day. Nothing seemed wrong. Nothing felt off. She walked out the door, and she never came back. Her family reported her missing. Police began searching. Days turned into weeks. No sign of her. No clues. No witnesses who remembered seeing her that day. Then, 6 weeks later, something happened that would turn this case into one of New Jersey's most haunted mysteries. A local man was at home when his dog returned from the woods. The dog was carrying something in its mouth, a decomposed human forearm. Police immediately traced the dog's path back through the woods. It led them to a place locals called the Devil's Teeth, a remote wooded quarry. Steep cliffs, dense trees, the kind of place people avoided. And there, they found Jeannette. Her body had been there for weeks. The medical examiner suspected strangulation, though decomposition made it difficult to determine an exact cause of death. But there was something else. Toxicology reports showed unusually high levels of lead in her system, enough to raise questions about what had happened to her before she died. And then, the rumors started. Whispers spread through Springfield Township, stories that when police found Jeannette's body, it was surrounded by sticks arranged in the shape of a coffin, or crosses. Some said there were makeshift altars, stones placed in patterns, evidence of a ritual. The early 1970s were a time of widespread panic about occult activity, satanic rituals, cult crimes. And suddenly, Jeannette's death became something more than a murder. It became a symbol of fear. Newspapers picked up the story. The rumors grew. Parents warned their children to stay away from the woods. But here's the thing. Official photographs from the crime scene, the ones that still exist, show no such symbols. No coffin made of sticks, no crosses, no ritual arrangements. Police denied any connection to occult activity. They stated clearly that there was no evidence of satanic involvement. So where did the rumors come from? Was it mass hysteria? A community trying to make sense of something senseless? Or was there truth buried in those stories? Truth that was covered up or lost? Because that's where this case gets even stranger. In 1999, Hurricane Floyd tore through New Jersey. The Springfield Township Police Department flooded, and Jeannette's case file disappeared, gone. Decades of investigation, evidence, reports, witness statements, all of it lost to water damage. Years later, portions of the file were recovered, but key pieces remain missing. To this day, Jeannette DePalma's death has never been officially ruled a homicide. No suspect was ever identified. No one was ever charged. Community groups continue to push for answers. They want her body exhumed, they want modern DNA testing, they want the truth. Because Jeannette deserves more than rumors, more than fear, more than a case file destroyed by a storm. She deserves justice. And after more than 50 years, her family is still waiting. Virginia's Colonial Parkway. A beautiful scenic route that connects 3 historic towns, Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Yorktown. 23 miles of winding road, trees on both sides, overlooks facing the water. The kind of drive people take to escape the noise of daily life. Peaceful, quiet, safe, or so people thought. Between 1986 and 1989, the Colonial Parkway became a hunting ground. 8 people, 4 separate incidents, all linked by location and method. Young couples, out enjoying the evening, looking for privacy, for peace, and they were targeted. October 12, 1986, Kathleen Thomas and Rebecca Dowski, both in their early 20s, were found inside Kathleen's Honda Civic. The car was pushed off an embankment near the York River. Both women had been strangled. Their throats were cut. Their bodies were positioned in the back seat. And then, the killer did something that still puzzles investigators. The car's interior was doused with diesel fuel, not gasoline, diesel, as if someone was trying to destroy evidence, but stopped before lighting the match. The brutality shocked Virginia, but at the time, police treated it as an isolated incident, a tragic, horrific crime, but not part of a pattern. Then it happened again, September 19, 1987. David Knobling and Robin Edwards, a young couple, disappeared after a date. 3 days later, their bodies were found near the James River. Both had been shot, execution style. David's truck was discovered nearby, but there were no witnesses, no clear motive, no suspects. And the location, close to the Colonial Parkway. People began to notice. April 10, 1988, Cassandra Haley and Richard Call, college students, went to a party together. They never came home. Richard's car was found on the Colonial Parkway, doors open, keys in the ignition, Cassandra's purse and shoes left inside, but Cassandra and Richard, gone. Their bodies have never been found. To this day, more than 35 years later, no one knows what happened to them after they got into that car. Then came the fourth case, September 5, 1989. Anna Maria Phelps and Daniel Lauer, teenagers, disappeared while traveling along Interstate 64. Their bodies were discovered weeks later in a rest area near New Kent County. Both had been stabbed repeatedly. 4 cases, 8 victims, all young couples. All killed near or along the Colonial Parkway. The FBI stepped in. Virginia State Police formed a task force. The media called it the work of a serial killer, someone who targeted couples, who knew the area, who struck and vanished without leaving evidence behind. But despite decades of investigation, despite hundreds of interviews and thousands of leads, no one was arrested. Families held vigils. They demanded answers. They formed advocacy groups, and still, nothing. Until 2024, more than 30 years after the first murders, forensic technology finally caught up. DNA evidence from 2 of the crime scenes was retested, analyzed with methods that didn't exist in the 1980s, and it pointed to a man named Alan Wilmer Sr., a truck driver, someone who had access to the roads, someone who knew the parkway well. That there was a problem. Wilmer had died in 2017. He was never questioned, never charged, never brought to trial, and the DNA only connected him to 2 of the cases. What about the others? Were they his victims too, or was there more than one killer? The Colonial Parkway murders remain mostly unsolved. Families still visit the sites where their loved ones were found. They still place flowers by the roadside. They still ask why. Why these couples? Why this road? Why has justice taken so long? The Parkway still runs through Virginia. People still drive it every day. But for those who remember, it's no longer just a scenic route. It's a memorial, a reminder that beauty can hide horror, and that some predators are never caught. South Carolina, 1987. Karina Malinowski was driving near Mount Holly Plantation when she disappeared. Her car was found later that day, locked. Everything inside appeared normal, but Karina was gone. No witnesses, no signs of struggle, no indication of where she might have gone or what might have happened. Police launched an investigation. They searched the area, interviewed family and friends, followed every lead they could find. But weeks passed, then months. No trace of Karina. Her family held on to hope. They believed she was still out there somewhere, that maybe she'd walked away from something, that maybe she'd come back. Then, nearly 1 year later, something happened that turned this case from mysterious to horrifying. November 1988. Annette Malinowski, Karina's 11-year-old daughter, was waiting for the school bus. The same area where her mother had vanished, the exact same spot. And she disappeared too. When the school bus arrived that morning, Annette wasn't there. Her stepfather, Thomas Malinowski, reported her missing. But when investigators arrived at the bus stop, they found something. A handwritten note. It was lying on the ground, folded, deliberate. The note said, "Dad, Mom came back. I have to go with her. Handwriting experts examined it, compared it to Annette's schoolwork, her homework assignments, notes she'd written to friends. It was her handwriting. Annette had written that note. But the question that haunts this case, the question investigators still ask, is this: did she write it willingly, or was she forced? Think about it. A mother vanishes. 1 year later, her daughter disappears from the same location, and the daughter leaves a note saying her mother came back for her. What are the chances that Karina Malinowski, missing for an entire year, suddenly reappeared to take her daughter? And if that's not what happened, then who made Annette write that note? Investigators focused on Thomas Malinowski, Annette's stepfather, Karina's husband. He had a history, reports of abuse, inconsistencies in his statements to police, but without bodies, without physical evidence, there was nothing to charge him with. Searches were conducted across Mount Holly Plantation. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Investigators used soil mapping technology, environmental data, everything available at the time. Nothing. No remains, no clothing, no trace of either Karina or Annette. Local residents still whisper about the plantation. They believe the land holds secrets, that somewhere beneath the soil, Karina and Annette are buried together, because whoever took them both. And that note, that carefully written message left at the bus stop, wasn't a clue. It was a taunt, a way of saying, I can take whoever I want, whenever I want, and you'll never find them. Thomas Malinowski has never been charged. Karina and Annette have never been found. And that bus stop, where an 11-year-old girl waited one morning and never came home, remains empty. A place where a mother and daughter vanished, 1 year apart, from the exact same spot.